Hi everyone, it's July 28, 2021, and you're watching the Awesome 10X Philippine Market Update. Let's begin. Okay, so here's what's happening in the market. 6,473 points for PSI, down 50 points. Market value is very low at billion pesos. You could see this interest in the Philippine market after Delta variant COVID risks increase. Let's take a look at the index movers and read the prices today. So your index movers are mostly in a downtrend within the week and the month. And anyway, let's read through it. Ayala Land is 34 pesos. Miguel Corporation is 113. DMCI is 6.2. GT Cap is 564. MPI is 3.57. AGI is 9.75. Metro Bank is 45. Emperador is 12.74. Botis Equity Ventures is 40. Bloomberry is 5.98. Robinson's Land is 16.2. Robinson's Retail is 53.5. Globe is 18.8. Luciatan Group is 9.5. First is 40. URC is 133. ICT is 162. PLDT is 1241. SM 954. Mega Road 2.9. Meralco 267. BPI 3. Jollibee 190. Ayala Corporation 730. BDO 57. SM Prime 33. Let's take a look at your stats, top traded and analytics. Your top traded names aside from this index is Dito, 7 pesos, Nickel Asia, 5.8. You see that your Converge is 23 pesos, your Monday Nissan is below 15, 14.88. BHI is 10 centavos, Del Monte is 17 pesos. Other than the index bellwethers, these are actually the ones that are actively traded in the Philippine market, and yet you see most of them are in a red downtrend move. Let's take a look at the top gainers if there's anything. In the top gainers with a value traded position, Wilcon traded at about 22 pesos, 5% higher, but very little value traded and very little trades. The other one is DMW and Eagle, 14.96 for Eagle, DMW at 7. But really, if you can look at the total value traded, these are very little. GMA 7, 12 pesos. So you could see that the general market is in a lethargic downtrend, which is really to be expected because the Philippines has a lot of their growth in the traditional economy. And with the active Delta variant rising, it's really hard to actually understand how to pick up the Philippine market. Let's try to see though what are the most active news. While everyone is cheerful about the Olympics, it's actually not gonna be anything when it comes to the actual corporate earnings. So it will not really change what's gonna happen. So let's just read material information and transactions. 5 most viewed disclosures. Let's read this. MPI is in a share buyback program. Take note that since October 2020, they've instituted a 5 billion peso buyback program, and they've already purchased 687 million common shares for a total of about 2.7 billion pesos, which is to say that their cost would be 2.8 divided by 7 below 4 pesos. If you're interested to own the largest infrastructure and also the largest stable conglomerate, I'd say stable because the businesses of MPI has to do with toll roads, with Meralco, with PLDT. So it's really more of a utility conglomerate in the Philippines. You might want to take advantage of MPI at 3.5 and below. Now let's read about Wilcon, the press releases here. In the Philippines, you are really supposed to just invest accordingly amongst your savings plan. If it's a 300,000 peso account, you have to deposit maybe 40,000 every month or 60,000 every quarter. I know that the most household expenditure nowadays is very tough. Jobs are really tough in a COVID pandemic that is persistent with Delta variant mutation. It's gonna persist for maybe another year or so. So I expect just understandable is to actually invest in their own company rather than for MPI itself. Okay, with Wilcon, let's read it. Net profits are up 250%. Wilcon Depot pesos first half 2021. The market is happy with this earnings. However, I'd say that the resilience of the construction in the residential segment tells you that indeed one of the few winners in the market, just like Emperador, one of the few winners because Emperador's sales are mostly outside the Philippines. This is actually a pure domestic story for Wilcon. So have to say congrats to Wilcon, and the shareholders of Wilcon. However, you might actually argue that with a market that is in shambles, it's actually perhaps the outlier, an outlier in a world, in a Philippine country which is very in a tough situation. Let's go for the material information and transactions. Let's read the most viewed disclosures in the market. Wait up. DMC material information transaction. Okay, in compliance, we have been sharing our trading of DMC shares. All right, so let's take a look at what DMC Holdings is doing with DMCI shares. So DMCI, of course, is a conglomerate of the Semirara Group, the Consunji family. Could see that DMCI is a conglomerate that is having power, coal. Semirara is not just about coal plants, but really power energy of the Philippines. So we're seeing that they're buying directly 800,000 shares at about 6 peso below. It's not huge, unlike the MPI. So according to our insider buying program, MPI is a bigger entity doing 5 billion peso transaction, and so is Mega World. So in terms of values, and if the market is really interested to buy insider buying, I'd say you go for the companies that are really deploying a lot. Aboitiz Power, I think, also has a buyback share program. Why don't we take a look at all the buyback share programs? Because that's the only thing that you can see in the Philippine market nowadays. When you are actually in a valuation standpoint of deep value in the Philippines, the only thing that you have to read about is which companies are doing a lot of share buyback transactions. And you can read it throughout their company disclosures. Let's go to the company announcements for that. And let's go to the share buyback transactions. Template name, share buyback transactions. Can do it here. Share. So share. Well, you can search it here. So it's easy naman. Today's July 28th. You could see that Price, A. Brown, Axelom, Robinson's Retail. Yeah, Robinson's Retail has billions in share buyback transactions. Costco, what else? Bloomberry, Mrs. G. So I'd say that when the market is neglecting all these valuations, the company with cash flows will do their best to actually support their own interests, and that is by buying their own company. So the more they actually do this, and usually Megaworld and AGI is known for that. AGI has been doing that for a year already. And when AGI and Megaworld does that, they do it in the realm of billions. So yeah, let's read through their share buyback programs. Just wanted to see how much they've done. Metro Retail has 300 million pesos buyback program. And they've bought somewhere in the realm of 23 million shares pa lang. So total amount of shares repurchased is 35 million pesos. Of course, the share buyback program eliminates the float in the market, makes it in the treasury. So low float equals higher potential in the next year or so. I don't think these purchases are meant for short term. None of these are short term. That's why it's more important to take a look at it, because insiders have only one game plan. If they find their valuations cheap and they have the cash flows, they're willing to wait it out and buy the shares. That's what you're seeing with Bloomberry. Manila Water, I think, also did that. EGI, Emperador, Robinson's Retail, K, yeah. Jollibee did that last year at I think 100 pesos. Cebu Masters did that, when it was below 3 pesos before. Okay, let's take a look. No comments? Actually, in the Philippine market, I don't think that there's anything much to explain except that Philippines will continue to trade in a downdrift. PSCI is likely to still be sleeping with first support 6,000, real resistance at 7,000. You have a 1 year trading